and just kind of introduce the webinar here. Tell you about the outline that we have. We're going to start with an introduction as to what this webinar is about and what we're trying to accomplish through it. We'll stop for a moment and we'll give away a prize for those who have registered ahead of time. And then we're going to also spend some time introducing our panelists that we have joining with us today. And then we're going to get into just some discussion about the topic. And then, of course, we'll do a summary right at the end and let you know what some next steps are that are available to you if you're interested in some of those next steps. So let me just start off by introducing the webinar topic today. The webinar topic we have is healthy habits in marriage. And so, now you could take that a couple different ways, just some habits that are healthy to incorporate into any marriage, which, there's lots of things we can talk about in terms of, make sure that, you don't go to bed angry every night, or, make sure that you are, cheerful when your spouse comes home from work, things like that. But what we really wanted to focus on today was emphasis on the word health as a part of healthy. And so, we know that God has a desire that every person, every two people that decide to get married, God's designed for them and God's desire for them is that they would have a long and happy and thriving marriage. And we know oftentimes that we focus in on improving communication. We focus in on, improving conflict resolution. We focus in on, really making our expectations reasonable. But one of the things we don't talk about is, if we want to have a long and healthy marriage to be able to reach those golden years of our life, we also need to pay attention to our health and to our activity levels. And if we'll do that, we have a better chance of taking advantage of the fruit of all of that work that we put into our marriage in terms of improving communication and conflict resolution, expectations, and all that good stuff. Those things take a long time to develop, and we want to enjoy the fruits of those efforts for a long time. And so that's why it's important that we pay attention to our health, pay attention to us, as a married couple, our health, and we can work together on that. And so that's why we thought, let's work on this. And we know that God cares about that, because if you look at the Old Testament, there's just a ton of scripture on what to eat. God's talking about that the eating is important. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, it says, I've given you every plant yielding seed that's on the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit, and you shall have them for food. God wanted to give us the good stuff to eat, and he provided that for us, and things that come out of the ground. And, and he talks about that, and he talks into detail about which plants we should be eating, and even what animals we should be eating. In Leviticus chapter 11, it's an entire chapter, and it's actually all over the Old Testament about this is a clean animal, this is an unclean animal. Now, after Jesus Christ came and he fulfilled the law, we find in the New Testament that those things that are unclean, it's no longer a sin to eat them. But that doesn't mean that the teaching that we find in the Old Testament was wrong. Dr. Reuben Jordan wrote a great book called the Maker's Diet. And in the book, he really comes to, makes the argument that although that Old Testament, the law has been fulfilled in the coming of Jesus Christ, he says the teaching that we find in the Old Testament is really a blueprint of how God wanted us to eat and in order to stay healthy. And so there are certain animals that are healthier than others, according to Dr. Reuben Jordan. And so God cares about our health. He cares about that. And so we're going to spend some time on that because it's important. It's important for every marriage that's trying to, reach those golden years of marriage. It's important to God. And so we're going to spend some time talking about health and activity today. And I've invited some panelists today that I admire and that I think have done a good job of incorporating healthy habits into their marriage, emphasis on the word health. All right. We've got quite a few attendees in the Zoom webinar now, and I'm sure we got plenty on Facebook as well. And so we're going to stop for just a moment, and we're going to give away a $25 Panera gift card. And so Pastor Cassie's navigating this webinar on the other end, and so she's going to switch over now to our wheel, our prize wheel, and she has put in the names of those who are in the webinar. And so we're going to give away a prize. Look at that thing spinning. $25 Panera gift card. Are we ready? A healthy place to eat. Unless you get a scone,
that's healthy.
A loaf of bread. All right, Thomas Seabird. Thomas Seabird is our winner. Thomas and Abigail, thanks for joining us today. Thomas and Abigail, you win the $25 Panera gift card.
You said praise God.
Yeah, praise the Lord. Thomas actually is helping with our website and a lot of our graphics. He created the webinar graphic that we have for this particular webinar. And so, and I actually had lunch with him at Panera 2 weeks ago, so I know he likes it. So, all right, congratulations, Thomas and Abigail. All right, thanks again for pre-registering for the webinar. That really helps us to kind of just know who's coming and how many to expect. So now I'd like to just take a moment to introduce our panelists. I've asked each of them if they would like to just share about, how long they've been married, and of course share their names. And then if how many children they have, and then to share one of these three things: how they met, how he proposed, or a favorite place that they like visiting together. And so I'm going to ask Jessica and Richard, who happen to be in two different parts of the country. They didn't plan on this when we asked them to do the webinar, but they're here, and I really appreciate that. Continue to be together, even though they're separate places. So Richard, Jessica, tell us about yourselves.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. Glad everyone's made it tonight. So I'm Jessica, Richard's my husband. We have been married 10 years. In 2 weeks, we will be celebrating a decade.
Wow.
So Richard will be together for our 10-year anniversary. So we're super excited about that. We have a lot of nice plans for that day. We have two girls, they're 3 and 5, and we also have another one on the way. We're actually gonna have a boy, so we'll have 3.
Oh,
yeah.
She just nonchalantly throws that in.
Yeah, we just have so much exciting change. We've been so blessed with everything, so that's happening. And then I wanted to share maybe one of the favorite places that we visited together was years before we had our first daughter, who's 5, Melanie. We did a really fun 3-week trip in France and Italy. And so we ate our way through the countries, which was so awesome, but we also walked and saw so much sights, and we were just so happy. We always reflect on that trip, and we really bonded during that time. So I think that's something that we both reflect back on and look at and kind of remember, especially on those days when it's rough having our kids, and sometimes vacation feels so long ago.
Thank you, Jessica. You have anything to add to that, Richard?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and I always like the proposal story because it always includes a little bit of an embarrassing moment. One of our first times together, we were walking on the beach down in Santa Cruz, and it was one of the first times I tried to kiss her, and she denied me. She said no. And I said, well, maybe this isn't going to go very well. But on down the line, that's where I decided to take her back and, asked her, I know you said no the first time we had a date here. Hopefully this time you'll say yes. And it's been great ever since. So.
I like that story.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, Richard.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Christina.
My name is Samuel Raju Singh, and my wife's name is Christina Samuel. And we've been married for over 13 years. We have a daughter, she's 8 years old. And we've been coming to Bethel for almost 13 years. We didn't want to bore you guys with our proposal story. But we as a family, we love to travel. So I think as a family, our happy place, we kind of figured out our happy place is Kauai. And we've been there twice already. And every time we go there, it's like we are all relaxed. I don't know why, but we find it very relaxing. We're hoping to go there more often, I guess.
I think one thing I'd like to add is our 8-year-old daughter, Ileana. She is our one and only child, and we're blessed out of our story, and Pastor George and Nadine know that We know that she was a gift from God and was a miracle in every sense. So that's us.
Praise the Lord. Thanks for sharing your guys' story. Well, and my name is George. This is my wife, Adine. I was going to let her tell our story.
So we've been married 27 years, just celebrated 27 years in May. So that's a good thing. I actually met George when we were 16 years old. We attended the same high school, but I didn't know him until a friend invited him to visit the church that I was currently attending. And he showed up to youth group one Wednesday night with his friend. And that is the first time I met this guy here. So we didn't date until much later, end of high school, college years, but it's been good ever since. I always say I'm so grateful that he came into my life. Definitely my best friend, and I love doing life with him. I think if we had to pick a place that we've probably enjoyed the most, it would be the other island, which would be Maui, Hawaii as well. I was born in Hawaii, but had never been to Maui before. And we went with our boys as well and did our fair share of eating. And I think the beautiful thing that we just enjoyed about it is doing nothing. And it's just completely enjoyable and relaxing and beautiful. So we hope to get there soon, just as soon as we can get back on a plane. But yeah. But the Italy trip, that sounds amazing too.
Love to know your itinerary for when we plan to get out there. So be great. Sounds wonderful. Eat your way through a country. That just sounds great.
And I forgot to mention, we do have 3 boys, or I should say young men. They're 19, 21, and 22.
Yeah, young men, definitely. Well, thanks for sharing, introducing yourselves. I just want everybody to get to know you a little bit better before we jumped into our discussion today about healthy habits. And so we're just going to ask our panelists just a couple of questions. And what I've learned is as I ask this question, I'll throw the question to one of the couples to answer first, and then I'll ask the next couple to respond there, since there's a little latency, and it saves a little bit of time between those different questions. And so what I want to do is just ask you, first of all, I have heard that when a person or a couple decides that, hey, I want to be healthy, a lot of times they join the gym and they start working out in the gym, hour or 2 a day, not realizing that really 70% is maybe the number I've heard before, is that it's all about nutrition. That really the most important part of your goal is really what you're eating and nutrition wise. And so, and as I mentioned earlier, I admire each of these couples here, and look up to them in terms of how they've made some good decisions about health and nutrition. And I was just going to ask you this question. Can you say that there was one decision you made that has really helped you to be successful in maintaining a healthy nutrition in your household? Was there one decision you made that you can point to that has helped you to be successful in maintaining that goal? Richard and Jessica.
Yeah, when we were thinking about that question, and I think the biggest thing that comes to our mind, where we have been on the same page even before having kids, was really focusing on eating most all of our meals at home. So we certainly do love to eat out, but we make a huge effort to, dedicate time to healthy grocery shopping, keeping good foods in the house, and then cooking almost our dinners every single night at home. And we both work, and so when it comes, I've been working at home lately, but in the past we have always focused on packing lunches for work instead of eating out every single day, or going out with people. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that's really helped us stay on track with just eating wholesome foods from home, but then also just saving money from not having to eat out so many meals. And that continues, pre-kids and even after kids. It's just been something very sustainable that we've been able to continue. And of course, we're not always perfect, but we hold each other strong to that.
That's good. It's a good habit. Richard, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback, we did make a decision way before kids, to anything unique like a fast food or anything like that, to only decide to do that on a very unique day or opportunity. So we've been eating well before then, but we just didn't want to keep that going out to eat like that on a regular basis. So we just made a decision together to make it a very unfrequent, unique situation.
That's good. So really being prepared, eating at home. Thanks for sharing that. Great tip. Sam or Christina, how about you? Have you found that there's one thing that you've been able to, that you attribute, like if we maintain this really helps us be successful?
I think both Christy and I, we come from a family where we eat a lot of carbs. And we both come from a family. Our families are, we have a history of diabetes and heart disease, and nobody realized how serious all those issues are. So we kind of made a decision, we are going to reduce the amount of carb intake. That helped us a lot. I think we take very less. We do eat carbs, but we take very little portions of carb. That decision we've been following the decision for quite some time now.
Yeah, I think if you looked at our plates growing up, the portion sizes in terms of rice would be almost 3/4 of the plate. There's like very little protein and like a little bit of a veggie or a curry or whatever it is. But growing up, we've known that that's not the size that it needs to be. Like if you go to your doctor's office today, and if you take a look at those portion size, you know, those images with a plate on it, the size of carb is 1/4 of the plate. So we've, instead of completely eliminating, because that's impossible, that's in us and that's what we ate growing up, we've learned that, you know, we gotta control the amount of rice or, you know, chapati or whatever carb it is when we have our food, our meals.
Yeah, I commend you guys on that, just recognizing, you know, the family history there and making some different decisions. And imagine that's kind of challenging with, you know, wanting to eat more traditional meals, having to really adjust and get creative on how you make those changes. So, Adine, you have anything you want to add on that?
I think we have found success in just eating at home too. I would eat out every night if I had my way, but he definitely likes to eat home. And I will agree, it's so much easier to find success when you have planned your meals ahead and you eat what you purchased because it was intentional what you purchased. So yeah, we have really done much better in that. So yeah, that's our goal as well.
I would add that you know, one of the things that I've learned too is that I just, without a lot of intentionality, I'm not eating any green vegetables. For whatever reason, it seems like that's the thing that gets left off of my plate quite a bit. And you know, one of the simple things I've learned is to try and make at least 1/4, if not half of the plate, the you know, some type of vegetable. And if I shoot that as a goal, oftentimes I end up eating about 1/4 if I shoot for a half. And so I'm not quite reaching my goal at all, what I would like to do, but I get closer to that. And when I do that, I eat less of the undesirable carbohydrates. And so that's something that has really helped me to make sure I'm getting the right foods in my body, filling up with those things too. So yeah, that's good. And then of course, drinking water. If I drink a lot of water, I tend to not drink other sugary drinks too. So it's good. All right. Next question. So one of the things that you guys already touched on was, you know, when you're away from home, we have found that sometimes it's easier when you're at home because you've got your food that you went grocery shopping for, you know, to be able to eat according to the plan that you have. But when you're out, for example, you're traveling or, you know, just going to work or you're just not at home, what tips have you found to create healthy habits, even to continue on with those healthy eating habits when you're away from home? Sam or Christina?
So when we travel, we indulge. We want to eat all the different food. There's no rules when we go travel. But I think when we travel, we also we will make sure that there is some physical activity attached to it. Like wherever we go, there is always like a walk somewhere or there's a hike somewhere. We have planned, that's always in there. But we don't, when we travel, we don't have any restrictions about food wise.
Yeah, I think one thing that we've done or made an effort to do is, okay, if we're going to indulge on, you know, the malasadas that you get in Kauai, like the Hawaiian donuts, if you're going to enjoy that, let's get one, but we'll do it after we do a walk. Let's try to get a walk before, and then towards the end, let's end with that, you know, that treat or whatever it is. So we definitely don't like stay away from indulging. We do, but we made a conscious effort to say, like, let's make that a part of some physical activity. There are stories of Sam trying to get us to go on a 3-mile walk that's landed up being 4.5 miles because we got lost. But you know, we laugh at the end of it, and then, you know, you're also able to indulge. So I think we've made a conscious effort to, in the agenda, like every day, what's the physical activity that we're doing? Or after dinner, like, can we, you know, walk around the premises of the hotel or wherever you're staying? Can we find a nice spot, you know, and then go there? So yeah, we've been consciously doing that.
That is a great idea, to be able to connect, you know, basically what you're consuming with how much activity you're doing, and understanding the connection between the two, because it helps you to not have to say no to everything. You can enjoy things, but understanding you're making a commitment to go on this walk, this walk if you eat the whole, what'd you call that donut?
I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but malasada. That's the Hawaiian
That's right.
donut.
I have no idea. Sounds good to me. Richard, Jessica, anything you want to add to that? Ways that you've, you know, maintained your health even when you're away from home?
Yeah, I think we do almost the same thing as they do as far as exercising. You know, we definitely make sure we go on a walk after dinner most of the time, or after most meals. You know, we want to make sure that we're doing that. We do keep tabs on where we go out to eat. I mean, obviously we indulge a little bit more. The frequency is a little bit more, but we try to make sure that where we eat, if we do indulge, it's usually dessert, ice cream for Jessica, or something else for me. But we try to make sure where we go eat for the main foods is basically copying what we do at home. But the exercise thing is probably the main thing as well. You know, we make sure we burn it off, whatever we do indulge on.
Yeah, I'll just add, we definitely indulge in definitely a lot of our rules. We throw a lot of those rules away when we're traveling, especially when you're going somewhere where the food is so good, but yeah, we are active. One thing I wanted to share was, you know, it's hard. I think what we've learned in our marriage and after having kids, before kids and traveling, it's almost a lot easier to walk or hike. And when you have little kids, it's a lot harder to drag them along. They don't want to walk very far, you know, they complain or, you know, whatever is going on. So we found ways to kind of involve them in being active. And when they were really little, we would have to travel a lot across the country, you know, to visit family where we're maybe sitting a little bit more. But I was religious and always bringing either our hiking backpack for one of the kids or the jogging stroller, as cumbersome as it is to travel with those things. If I had it, I'm like, I dragged this thing to the airport in the car, put it on the plane, checked it at the gate. I'm going to use it and make sure I do. And that's been consistent all the time. And so we did that when we had 2 kids. I got a double stroller. We would take walks with the girls when they were little around the neighborhood or to the park. So I think just aside from just leisure travel, you know, travel when you're just going to go on vacation is a little different because maybe you're indulging more, but when you're just going to go visit family where you're not indulging so much food wise, but more visiting with family, I think traveling with things to help keep you be active, especially if you have kids, has been helpful for us.
Those are great suggestions. I like that you know that you took this effort into putting a stroller on there, so you better use it. I guess you can apply that to almost everything. I brought my running shoes, I better use them. Yeah, that's good. And you can be healthy no matter where you go if you are intentional about it. So it's good. You guys each of you touched on one of the other questions I had a little bit farther down the road was in regards to indulgences. You know, sometimes you hear people talk about, oh, I'm going to be healthy, and they cut out every single thing that is enjoyable. And, they're just going to eat cardboard and water. And I haven't found that that's sustainable. You end up, not being able to maintain that. And I honestly think God created food to be enjoyable. I mean, one of the first things we do when we get to heaven is we sit down at the marriage supper of the Lamb. Why are we eating in heaven when we don't really need food? It's because food's enjoyable. God intended it to be enjoyable. And so I think, you guys, I'm glad you guys each touched on that you can include indulgences inside of your healthy eating habits, as long as you are connecting that with the level of activity that you are doing. And so, since you guys have already kind of answered some of that question about indulgences, was there anything else that either of you wanted to add about that question about, do you include indulgences in the diet? Is there anything else you want to share, Richard, Jessica?
Yeah, I think one thing, the key word that you have said a few times is sustainability. I think you're absolutely right. If you cut it all out, those kind of diets aren't going to work. I mean, I grew up in a family in the South where it's just, eggs, bacon, sausage in the morning, meat, potatoes in the evening. And luckily I was active growing up, but if you cut all that out cold turkey, it's not going to work. So you have to have some indulgence to kind of balance out your sanity a little bit.
Yeah.
I would add to like sustainability, yes, very, very important, but also the frequency. And I think we help keep each other accountable when it comes to frequency. Like we love, love, love desserts. We can tell you all the best dessert spots in the Bay Area, but we save that for special times, and we don't do it every day. And if we're noticing our cravings are getting stronger, we're like wanting things every day, we help keep each other accountable and be like, no, we just had something a couple of days ago. Let's just let this pass and, move on. And so I think that's been helpful, just reminding each other of how often we're indulging.
Sam or Christina, anything else to add on the indulgences?
I think one thing that we've consciously tried to do in the past couple of years is we'll cut down on the number of desserts. Like if we're craving ice cream, we don't walk over to Cold Stone Creamery and each of us don't get a cup. We'll get the kitty size and the three of us will share it. It'll be a flavor that all of us kind of like, and somehow we coax Eliana into liking the choices that we, we tell her. And it's that one cup and we'll end up sharing it. It's not too much, but you get a sense of, oh, we did indulge, and it becomes a family thing where you all walked and, you all decided to get ice cream or you decided to get a donut. So we definitely indulge. But we've learned our lessons to kind of say, hey, can we share that one thing? Can we all choose that one thing? It's another discussion having to agree on that one thing, but can we agree and can we share? So
yeah, so I think a word to summarize what everybody's saying here is just being aware of the amount and making sure that you're moderating that, and kind of being in control of that, not letting it be in control of you. So that's good. Yeah, that's great. So we talked a little bit about some, helping each other be aware, and it made me think about the next question that we're going to ask is, what if one spouse, I don't know if this has ever happened to either of you. So maybe if it has, share your story. But if one spouse has decided, I'm going to eat healthy, I'm going to exercise, but the other spouse isn't quite there yet. They don't want to eat healthy and they don't want to exercise. Have you ever experienced that? And if you did, how did you navigate through that?
I could probably jump in really quick on this one. Obviously, after having 3 boys back to back over the course of 3 years, I got to the point where I looked in the mirror and said, well, I think it's time maybe I pay attention to my nutrition a little bit on that note. So I expressed to George that I wanted to try to be more intentional and eat healthier and exercise. And I think my words were saying differently than what my actions were doing. So he was so patient and letting me catch up and being there. He didn't ever humiliate me or try to make me feel guilty into, hey, you said you wanted to exercise more. I think he really just started doing it himself first. And then once I realized, hey, he's seeing some good, he's getting great benefits here and great results. I was eager to join on with him. So we've found the best success in helping each other and encouraging one another. I'm so, grateful now that he holds me accountable in a good way. It's usually because I've invited him to and asked him to, like Christina, just suggesting we get 1 cup and share it instead of getting, something else. So I definitely have, I'm thankful that we have been that for each other. And obviously it's worked even for the model of our whole, our family, because our boys are now following in that model as well. And they ask us to hold them accountable for certain food choices. And they tell us, don't buy this, only buy these things in the house. So yeah, all that to say, it's good to have an accountability partner, but it's also good when they don't, hound you if you skip that gym day and make you feel bad. So,
No shaming.
no.
Richard, Jessica, anything that did you go through that, or if so, or?
Jessica, you can probably talk more. I tend to get lazier than Jessica does. Jessica's a lot more religious than I am. I mean, I do enough to stay in pretty good shape, but Jessica's has to hold me accountable more. Luckily, we met when we were both, working out, exercising, so it was important to us. A lot of other people might be in different scenarios, but there's been times where I've had to let go of my frustration of her reminding me if I'm being lazy, 2 or 3 days going by, and I've just got to be like, she's right, and so I've got to kind of work on myself. But, every time we end up going on that run, exercising, doing a HIIT workout or something, it's always nice. And that's how we remind ourselves to get back on the train, how good we feel afterwards. But yeah, she's usually reminding me.
We remind each other and support each other in, I think, a really good way. But I'll add that Richard doesn't have to work that hard. I feel like I have to work 20 times harder than he does. It's so unfair. But we definitely support each other. And I think even right now we're in separate parts of the country at this time, but we support each other in terms of activity. But we always have some kind of fitness competition going on with each other on our watches. And so we're friends with all of our workouts. So if he does a workout, I'm like, oh, no, I need to go try to beat him or do something and beat his time. And so we kind of laugh and joke, and we'll be like, oh, looks like you haven't done something for a couple of days, and just kind of a fun competition. And that works pretty well for us.
That's good. Motivating each other that way. That's great. How about Sam and Christina? Any stories you want to share?
I think Sam and I are the couple where our goals are completely different. I like to stay average, just keep it going. Sam's on another level. So I think one thing that we've done over the past years is we've taken these roles. So I take the role of providing that nutrition or providing more protein or planning the meal or saying, okay, well, I'm going to make rice also, but if you don't want that, there is salad, and then you can eat it with the protein that I'm making. And then Sam has taken up this role of being the Costco ambassador, where he'll go to Costco and he'll find like this really healthy snack and he'll come home with it super excited. And he's like, Eliana, you got to try it. Like, you guys have to try it. This is so good. And then it turns out that that healthy alternative snack lands up being something that we enjoy. And in that sense, we kind of support each other, where I cook a little more knowing that he's going to consume more protein, or he's a lot more stricter than I am. And he tries to, take on that role of, let me find other things for us to, enjoy that's healthy, that he likes. And then I'm hoping the rest of my family likes, so that way they don't keep snacks in the house. They keep more healthy things in the house, right? Healthy snacks in the house. So I think that's that's ways we've learned to support each other. Though our goals are completely different, right?
Good. Thank you all. I appreciate you guys sharing those stories. I will add that, that it's important for you personally to set some goals of what you'd like to do. But if you're wanting to go to the gym, 3-4 times a week, and you want to, cut down on your carbs and your spouse isn't quite there yet, that's okay. You made a particular decision, maybe because you just wanted to feel a little bit better, or you noticed that your pants aren't fitting particularly right. But it's important that those were your specific goals, and the best way to motivate your spouse is to just continue to do the things that you decided to do, and then along the way encourage your spouse. If you see them, maybe they haven't quite made it along the journey yet, encourage them, and compliment them when they make good choices, even if they're small. Compliment them, for taking a walk, or for, maybe, instead of getting the venti frappuccino, they got the tall frappuccino. You compliment them along the way and encourage them. Never shaming them at all. That doesn't work. That's only going to create more problems, and then you might be calling me up saying, I don't understand. I was trying to help them. So I know in our marriage, one of the other things that we've done is we give each other permission as well. If we've set a specific goal and we want to hold each other accountable, we actually say that, hey, if you notice that I'm getting off track on my goals, will you say something? That's really important too, because I'm never going to tell my wife that she can't eat something. She's an adult. She can make her own decisions about what she wants to eat. And same with me. But if we have each given each other permission to say, hey, look, this is a goal I have, and sometimes I'm just not aware, you can bring it to my attention. And even if they bring it to your attention, what they didn't say was, please be my personal coach. They don't want you to be your personal coach. They're just saying, bring it to their attention and then leave it alone. So just be careful with that, when you're encouraging your spouse. And it's one of the things that we've done with each other, is just, giving each other permission, and it's been helpful. So.
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
Okay. I don't drink ventis, by the way. I'm just kidding.
I wasn't referring to her. She doesn't like the venti frappuccino.
Not that I don't like them, but
yeah. Thanks for clarifying that. So. All right. Let's see the next question. So we're talking about, couples working together. I know that some of you have, just because I know you guys personally, you have different goals that you want to achieve. I don't know about specifically you, but I've known couples where one person wants to, maybe they want to train to be a triathlete, or another person, really has a specific goal. They want to ride their bike 5,000 miles a year. And so how have you guys in your marriage, and, with being, parents as well, how have you allowed your spouse to have individual, athletic goals or health goals that they want to achieve, and being able to incorporate that into your marriage, but not let it divide you? What tips have you learned along the way to really encourage your spouse to have these individual goals, but not let it impact your marriage negatively? Let's start with Sam and Christina. You have any ideas you want to share?
I think for us, Sam's a runner. I recently found out that lying on the couch watching Netflix for long is not going to help me. knowing my family's history and their medical condition. So I had to make a change quite recently over the past couple of years since Eliana was born, because I had gestational diabetes. And one thing that I chose to kind of tell myself was, I need to find something that I like. It needs to be something that I like to do as a physical activity that is sustainable. Like if you start something super motivated, and if it's not something that goes on after like a week or 2 weeks, then you're not going to reap the benefits of it. So one thing that I like to do is hit high interval intensity training. I really enjoy it. And it's in a group setup. So it's a lot more motivating because there's a coach, there's others. And I remember starting off not knowing how to use any of the floor, equipment, the weights. And, through that, I stuck with it and saw change. And how Sam supported me with that was, the only time it was doable was after work. Because I've heard of people say that if you go in the morning, it's like super awesome. Like you get it done in the morning. And I'm like, who are these people? Like, who's getting up at 6:30? Who's doing this? It was almost like, okay, if I have to do it, I'd have to do it after work. And Sam supported me by making sure that, in the evening, dinner, or picking Eliana up, or whatever needed to be done when I was away for that 1 hour, 1.5 hours, he would do it. And that, in its own way was an encouragement to me to, like, Christina, you go do what you need to. If this is something that you enjoy and you feel like you will keep it up, then, that's how I will support you. So Sam when I went to class 3 days a week, Sam would totally manage the situation at home. And, I did not have to worry about it. I think,
I think, I think it's the same. I go for a run and then morning I won't be there. Like Christy will take care of most of the things. I don't have to worry about it. I think we kind of like made sure that we support each other. But we do entirely different things. We don't do anything. Any of our activities are not the same, what we enjoy. So she does her own thing. I will do my own thing.
Yeah.
And we kind of support each other in that.
That's good.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. How about Jessica and Richard?
Well, Jessica will probably say the same thing, but a long time ago, especially when we started having kids, obviously things change. The time allowed to be able to do things, and we did go to the gym quite a bit, but we stopped doing that. And but we allow each other time throughout the week, especially on the weekends, to go do our own thing. We both run, and I believe, I don't want to speak directly for Jessica, but I think our goals are, essentially the same, just to be able to play with our kids until we're older, and just pretty much preventative maintenance on our bodies to make sure that nothing happens long term. So, we don't have triathlete goals or anything like that. We just want to keep in shape. But we just allow each other time to do our own thing, usually about an hour, hour and a half. So I'll take care of the kids, or she'll take care of the kids, and just allow each other time, whichever, if it's morning or afternoon. So we just try to help each other out with that.
I would say one of the big things that we learned in that process, especially with the transition of having kids and both of us working and just trying to find time and staying motivated to do that, it's hard. But I think we've both learned that having that just 1 hour of isolated time is not only great for our health and exercise, but it helps us just kind of be on our own a little bit and be feeling good and getting along better and communicating what our schedules are going to be, because things are always changing. And so letting the other person know, hey, I need to, I'm going to do a workout like this time of the day, can you do this? And if things change, it's okay. So we're always on kind of a constant conversation about what's going to happen on the weekend or what's going to happen during the week.
Making time for each other. Good. And for your goals. Dean, anything you want to add on that?
I just want to, I don't know who those people are either, Christina getting up, but this one is one of them. He goes at 5:30 in the morning and has invited me every single time to go with him. And I say, I love you, but I will never join you at your 5:30 workout session.
I don't remember you saying I love you when you say you're not joining.
Let it go on record that that's what I'm thinking. But my body language is probably saying you're crazy. I'm not joining you.
That's what it's saying, yeah.
But I'll go after work all day long. I'd much rather do that. But I appreciate what you guys are saying, that addressing the fact that a lot of us have decided to do this for health and long-term health reasons. That's really was our motivation as well, because of past history we have in our family, just trying to stay away from any medications or whatnot. I like what Jessica and the Shipleys have decided, that it's just so you can have those long-term goals of being able to play and ride a bike or take a walk for many years to come. So that's our goal together, is just to walk into our golden years someday.
Yeah, we also have 2 super active little girls. One of them runs so fast I can't even wear sandals when I'm hanging out with her because I have to run. So I'm like, this is my motivation. I need to keep up with these girls. So I got to stick with it.
Good.
Well, it's good to hear each of you share that you're doing things independently of each other, and it's healthy and it's sacrificial. You're gonna have to take on a little bit of the responsibility while the other one is out exercising and running, but you're doing it as a gift to them. That not only physically but mentally. I think Jessica was talking about that. I agree with that. The mental rewards of getting out and doing some type of activity outside of your house is really positive. And so they come back, I know I do. When I come back in, I feel refreshed, energized, and I'm better. I'm more capable at that point to being a better husband, better father. And so making that time for each other is really good. It's it's a sacrifice, and then returning the favor to allow them to do it too. I know I try to wake Adina up in the morning to go with me, because I I guess I want to do it together with her. Something that, I found, oh, we could do this together. And so I have to understand, God made me differently. I just get up earlier and I want to get these things done. And that's just not how God made Adine. And so you have to adjust depending upon, not trying to make her into me. She's not trying to make me into her. We're appreciating each other's differences. And so I think that's good that each of you have found a way to help each other succeed and give each other gifts. All right. But what activities, we're talking about doing things separately. What activities have you found that you can do together? Are there certain things, even if it's not the high interval stuff, what other healthy habits of activity have you found you can do together? Richard and Jessica, anything you found?
Jessica, you can go ahead on this one if you'd like.
So I think before, when we first met, we did a lot of long hikes together. We would do, go, in the mountains and do things like that. So that was something we established together, and we realized, okay, we can't do this with our kids, but we also, just during the work week, we would run together. And that was a way for us to bond as we'd go on runs. That was also so fun. But after having kids, it doesn't work that way anymore, because you can't leave your kids and just go on a run together. But what we did was we got running strollers, and we were able to still run together, and bring our kids with us. And so from being babies, they got used to sitting in the stroller, whether it's going on a walk or a run or, a hike like we used to do. And we've been able to maintain that habit that we did together. And after having kids, we incorporate our kids involved into it as well. It's maybe not as intensive as it was in the past, or as long, but it's still bonding time, and we're showing our kids how to be healthy and stay active as well. And that's been an important catalyst for both of us as we're trying to stay active in our marriage getting older.
That's good. I like that. Sam, Christina?
I think we do go walking, especially like during this COVID time. I think we started this new habit of like going for a walk. Especially whenever we have a break, we'll just say, okay, you don't have any meeting, let's go for a walk. And like we'll go for a walk around the neighborhood. We also try to do some hiking with Eliana, but yes, it's not the same. It's a little bit tough with the kids.
At about mile 2, she's done.
Yeah, and then
she's like, let's go back. Even if you go back 2 miles, even if you go this way, it's another 2 miles. So
Yeah.
I think with kids, it definitely is harder. One thing that we also tried to do, and kudos to Sam for doing this, he signed us up for the San Jose Rock and Roll Marathon, and he tried to get Eliana enrolled in like the kids run. I did the 10K, and then he did a half marathon. So I think all of us had medals at the end, and it felt like, oh my gosh, we're so cool. We're part of this event, and we all have something to kind of be proud of. So I felt like if you enroll the entire family in an event, it gets everyone encouraged. And at the end of it, there is a reward, whether it's a medal or just the fact that you did something together with your family. And so I think we've done that twice maybe, and that's been fun. That's been encouraging. That's been fun.
Oh, well, I must say, George, he decided to go to the gym with me again after work. So I really appreciate that, because I don't like going alone. So he goes again after work with me. And so I appreciate that, because it's something we can do together. We don't do the same exercises or the same routine or whatnot, but just knowing he's there is cool. And I appreciate that, because I know he's basically just there again for me. But we also try to incorporate a walk. We fortunately get to work with each other currently. So we try to do our little half an hour walk during lunch, and that's nice on many levels. So just trying to get it in any way we can.
Yeah. And we are a different stage of life as well. Our kids don't need us anymore. They're pretty independent at 19, 21, and 22, as opposed to, each of your children. So I have that freedom to do that. But when our children were younger and they needed it, it was the walks where we would incorporate that. So I see that as something we all have in common, is just a walk, to get out and do some things together. And we've shared before how beneficial the walks are just for communication, to be able to touch base on how the day or the week is going, or talk through, things that you might be having some frustration with at work, or, whatever reason. And the walk, it seems to be one of the best things. I know in Love and Respect, the authors talk about shoulder to shoulder time is really good for husbands because when you're face to face, according to Dr. Agrix, that face to face is generally great for women to be able to talk to each other, because that's how women generally will speak to each other, very close, very loud. But men don't do that. I would never go up to Richard and talk to him, Richard, or Sam. But Richard, I, might go take a walk shoulder to shoulder and talk about stuff. And so we're not, Dr. Eggerichs talks about that in terms of being confrontational when you're face to face. And so a walk is shoulder to shoulder, and it really helps with communication to be able to walk shoulder to shoulder to talk through some things, even in your own marriage, that you might have to work out some wrinkles. And that short walk does marvelous things to help diffuse situations. And so we have found that to be incredibly beneficial in our marriage, to work through even personal challenges that we might be having, whether that's communication between us or if that's frustrations, again, that we're experiencing outside of the home. The walk has just been great. By the time we get back, we feel like we've made some progress on whatever that situation was. And the other benefit is we got some exercise. So it's good. Yeah. All right. So one of the other questions I have for you was, in preparing, we did a lot of talk about preparing, incorporating, kind of having strategies. But the other thing I think we always have to be aware of is, are there pitfalls? Are there things that are going to try and throw us off of our wagon, so to speak, when it comes to our goals, when we're trying to live healthier lives? And have you found that there are certain pitfalls that you have to watch out for in your marriage or in your lifestyle that, if I don't pay attention to this pitfall, I'm going to get, I'm going to end up having to play a lot of catch up in my life. Sam or Christina, any pitfalls that you watch out for?
Oh, yeah, I know there's stuff. You want to go?
Yeah, I think for us, food is a big pitfall. That's our enemy, food. Yeah, I think we need to watch out because we enjoy eating and then we just go on indulging, right?
Yeah.
So we don't want to do that. So we try to be mindful of what we bring home. So we don't buy.
Yeah, our shopping strategy has sort of changed and shifted over the years. I've completely stopped buying the pint size ice cream containers. You go to Safeway and then you see, even if it's not so big, you tend to buy it, you put it in the freezer, and guess what? Late night, you're watching something and you're, oh man, there's ice cream in there, right? So we've learned that you can have it, you obviously can, but not that quantity, and don't bring it inside the house, because mindless, just not thinking, but eating tends to happen when you're tired or when you're watching TV or when you're just trying to unwind. Another thing that we've learned is just not bringing home some of the things, even if it's a very little even if it's a small bag. We've seen there are these masala peanuts that have Indian flavor in them. We'll buy them, and one night, it lasts one night, over just me and Sam walking up and down, and then we're done with the bag. We've learned that things like that, just don't buy it, don't bring it at home, because that's your pitfall. You're going to fall for it. You're going to finish it. So yeah, our shopping strategies have changed to sort of deal with that.
Yeah, don't buy desserts from Costco. That's the
gigantic. Good. Jessica or Richard?
Yeah, I think one personal thing, and I'll share something else with Jessica and I both. Everywhere I've worked, there's always a candy stash. There's always something. And where I'm working now, there's a refrigerator stocked with dozens of Cokes. And, I don't drink Coke, but if I have one, it's kind of like the peanuts she was talking about. But I make sure I bring lots of food in my lunch bag, and Jessica always gets so mad because sometimes she helps pack it if whatever, and she's like, "Oh, you eat so much food," and I'm like, "Well, I'm hungry all the time," but that's one reason, is because there's stuff at work that people always eat, and I don't want to get into that. Also, when, Jessica and I go to the store, whether it's just me or both of us, I try to have a full stomach when I go. And I'm sure everybody can relate to this. You go and you can justify almost everything when you're hungry, but you can think a little more clearly when you have a full stomach.
That's
So,
good.
I would say when people come to our house and they open up our pantry or refrigerator, they're like, "Oh, this looks boring." I think it looks great, but we don't keep junk food in the house because, again, just like Sam and Christina, if there's ice cream there or if there's like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, we'll eat it until it's gone because we love it. So we support each other and just really keeping our house full of the things that are conducive to our goals, and we support each other in that. And then another thing that we've established, we spoke a lot about this before even having kids, is how are we going to raise our kids to be healthy eaters and not have juice boxes and, of course they're going to eat that stuff sometimes, but have all these like kid snacks everywhere, because kid snacks are also a pitfall for us. There's fruit snacks, we love them too. So we're also really cognizant about the types of snacks that we have around that we buy for our kids, that we maybe don't want to keep them around because we are trying to watch out for eating that stuff as a family all the time too. And then lastly, something that's worked really well for us for, keeping those pitfalls on track are we have a shared notes list in our phone of our shopping list. And so if there's certain things we want or we run out or somebody eats the last of it, we have a shared list where we can write notes to each other. So whoever is doing the store, ordering the food, can take a look at that and make sure that, oh, Richard needs these snacks for work, and make sure I pick these up at the store, and vice versa.
Good. Those are all great ideas. I didn't think about it, but one of the things I do too is there's Thursday's donut day at the church. And I always make sure I have a turkey sandwich, on some healthy bread, and figure that's a lot better than the donut. But a lot of times I'm looking at the donuts while I'm eating the turkey sandwich.
One side note, it is funny. One of our employees came out of there and was a little frustrated. They said, "Who leaves a fifth of a donut in the box?" I'm like, hey, that's someone who didn't want to eat a full donut. So that's okay. You leave that person alone. They didn't eat the whole donut, just the rest of it.
right.
Whatever we can live with.
Well, hey, we're just about out of time. I don't know if anybody had any questions. You can put those in a chat or the Q&A there, but we're just about finished here. So those who are participating, I want to thank you for being here. And if you had a question, you can put it into the chat or the Q&A, and we'll try and answer that here just before we let you go. I want to say thank you to our panelists for being here today. And I was going to ask them as we can today just to share a resource or two that you have found to be helpful in your journey of wanting to make sure that you stay as healthy as you can. And so let's see, why don't we start with Sam or Christina? What are some resources you wanted to share? And the resources that I've already asked them this question, just those of you who are listening. And so on the bethel.org/marriage page, the resources that they're going to share right now, you can find them on that particular webpage. I want to let them talk about them a little bit. So Sam, Christina.
So the resource that we shared is this food blogger named, the name of his blog is Flava City. Flav City. He has a YouTube channel, and he has an Instagram account and all of the good things on social media. But what he does is he cooks meals that use all healthy substitutes. So if he's like making crab cakes, instead of crab cakes, he'll make salmon cakes, and he'll make it with almond flour instead of using all-purpose flour. So he uses healthy substitutes, and they're good. I mean, the way he makes it is super fast, nothing too crazy. And then the other thing about him is he goes to Costco and he'll pick out the healthy snack for you, and he will tell you which ones are on a sale. And he does that every week. So every week he puts out a video where he said, okay, I went to Costco, I went to Trader Joe's. So for Sam, it's healthy and it's on sale. So it really works out. And hence Sam is our Costco champion. He takes over Costco for us. So that's the resource we shared. We look at it every week. We know what's out on sale in Costco, and we've bought those products, and we can say that some of them are pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Great.
I'll share just another resource because I know a big part of what has been the foundation for us is really like I said for the first question is cooking at home, and cooking at home, it is a lot of work and it feels like a lot of work at first. But I think once you get into the hang of it, you figure out the quick ways to do things, the things you like. And there's a really great resource, skinnytaste.com. It's a woman, a dietitian who has lots of meal prep ideas, recipes. You can start with just meal prepping breakfast and see how that goes. There's also a whole section on her website specifically for instant pot meals or air fryer meals, which could be really nice time savers if you're trying to cook in bulk or even if you're new to cooking. So I think that's a really awesome resource, and all the meals are really healthy and pretty carb controlled. And then another one for those that are maybe a little bit more carb wary and really watching your carbs, there's diabetes.org. And it's put up by the American Diabetes Association, and all of those meals are pretty healthful in terms of portions, pretty easy to prepare and carb controlled too. So those are ones that we both have used.
Great. Thank you, Jessica. Richard, I assume that those are all your resources too?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. Jessica's my resource for the resources.
Well, hold on, Richard. Richard has found the most amazing exercise resource for us because we don't always run, especially when it was the fires last summer and it was pandemic. What can we do to work out? We can't run. We can't go outside. We started using a resource called Fitness Blender. It's on YouTube. There's a 10-minute HIIT workout. There's 7-minute workouts, and it's amazing. It's like the best workout in a short time, and you can do it just at home. It's free. And Richard found that, and we still use it. That's awesome.
Okay, fine. I'll take credit for that one then.
All right, that's good. Great resources. Again, those are at bethel.org/marriage. Underneath the resources section, you'll see links to these resources. You also see a reading list in there. And so I guess the resources I would share is Adine and I, she's on an iPhone, I'm on an Android, and we found that MyFitnessPal app is one app that kind of communicates with both of those and works really well with our fitness applications. So we're able to see, when somebody does workout, we can, encourage them with a like. If there's a streak going on, we can encourage them that way. And so that's been one of our favorite apps to keep track of what we're eating and how we're exercising. And then I think I would say one of our all-time favorite books, this is in the link there for the reading list, is The Maker's Diet. We read that, 20 years ago. And it really changed the way we thought about health from, it's all about, being thin to it's all about being healthy. And we really changed our philosophy about why we were doing what we were doing. And so we started to make smarter choices about food so that we could be healthier. And, of course, along with that comes, if you're having, I was at that time, I was overweight, and helped me to lose about 30 pounds, just eating the right foods. And it's helped me to change the way I think too. So we really enjoyed that. It has biblical references in it. Dr. Reuben Jordan wrote the book. So that's in that reading list as well. I also read Body by God. That's in there too. It's got some good workouts in it to be able to compound exercises. And he hits a lot of the same things that Dr. Reuben does as well. So those are resources that are in there. I really appreciate, again, our panelists. A couple of closing comments before you go. I'm going to send an email out to those who are on this who had registered for this webinar. And one of the things I want to mention there is we have a hike coming up. I wanted to do something when we were brainstorming with our panelists about this healthy habits. We said, it'd be great if we could do something that incorporates some kind of activity, following the webinar. And so came up with the idea of going to Shoreline Lake on July 31st at 9 a.m. And so inside of that page, bethel.org/marriage, there's a link where you can register and find the address and the date as well. But we're going to take a little walk. I called it a hike. A couple of people have corrected me. It's not really, there's not much level change, but hike sounds more exciting, but it is more of a walk. But it's going to be fun just to get together, asking everybody to bring your own drinks and your own snacks, and we'll be able to have some community. Community is important. And so that's coming up July 31st, this Saturday. And then I wanted to also send out a survey to find out how you enjoyed the webinar and if you have any other ideas for future webinars. And so there's a survey link on that webpage as well. but I'll send the link out to those who register for this event. And you can tell us, ideas you have for other topics that we have coming up. And then as we continue our reopening plans with Bethel Church, one of the things we'd like to see is some marriage life groups. And so if anybody who has watched this webinar is interested in be hosting a life group that helps to connect married couples to be able to have community together, very important for spiritual growth and discipleship, and you'd like to have a meeting with me and learn more about that, I've put a link on that page for you to schedule an appointment with me. So my personal calendar is on bethel.org/marriage. You can click there to schedule an appointment with Pastor George, and it'll be a 30-minute appointment, and we can meet over Microsoft Teams and we can have a discussion. It's not a commitment to start a life group. All it is you just learning more about starting a life group. That same link can also be used for a marriage checkup. So if you and your spouse just want to have 30 minutes with me where you talk about maybe some challenges you might be having in your marriage or get some tips on how to resolve some of those wrinkles that you might be experiencing, you can also use that same link to get on my calendar, and we spent 30 minutes together. If you would like a dean to be there, just put it in the notes there. Make sure that you know that we'll make sure she can block out that time as well. And let's see, is that the final thing I have to mention? That is the final thing. So those links will be sent out shortly to those who register for this event. And then next week, we'll send it out to everybody who is in the marriage group as well. So again, thank you panelists for being with us tonight. And thank you everyone else who has participated in our webinar. And this webinar will be posted on bethel.org/marriage, I believe by Monday, as a video. That it will be a resource that you can access and share with others as well. If you watch on Facebook, it's going to be up on Facebook underneath the live sections. So you can share that as well with others that you think might benefit from this particular webinar. So again, thank you so much. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Bye.